So Super Rugby round 15 is pretty much here. It starts tomorrow. 2 games, Crusaders, Hurricanes and Rebels, Sunwolves. The first one, Crusaders, Hurricanes, is basically the Clash of the Titans match, which we've been waiting for a while. Neither of these teams have been beaten for a long time. Hurricanes not since week 2. Crusaders I think not since week 5. So it has been a long time between drinks. A long time since these guys have tasted defeat. And interestingly, one of the 2 Crusaders losses was against the Hurricanes back in week 4. So they will be looking for revenge, no doubt. That result went 29-19 to the Hurricanes in Wellington. This time we're in Christchurch, so it's the Crusaders with home advantage, but without a few of their big names. So let's have a look at the teams. Crusaders have got no Sam Whitelock and no Ryan Crotty, both suffering the effects of concussion, so not available. Perry has done his hamstring in the All Blacks camp, so coach won't be happy about that, but I guess what can you do? Franks and Moody, the 2 naughty boys, are suspended for this one, so in terms of your forwards, that's a few big names missing. Crockett and Alatoa get the start in the propping slots, and Bateman starts at 12. Romano's back on the bench, so I guess that's one bit of good news. For the Hurricanes, previously rested, semi-rested on the bench last week, Brad Shields gets a start at 6. Julian Savia is back on the right wing, so Nihi Milner-Skudder is moved back to 15. Interestingly, Geordie Barrett gets his first start at 13. Aso and Proctor are injured, so yeah, they've not gone for Umaga Jensen. I guess his inexperience against the Crusaders is not something the coaches wanted to go with, despite him kind of being a specialist midfielder. But yeah, they've been talking about moving Geordie to the midfield for quite a while in terms of like bulking him up and putting him into some more contact. So I guess we'll see how he goes. Via Fafita is also out, so Lausi and Fadialofa get the start in the second row. Yeah, man, it's going to be a pretty big one. I think in terms of just the clash itself, it looks like the game of the round, and it's the first one we've got. But you never know. Sometimes these heavy hitting games end up being a bit dull as both teams kind of cancel each other out. But we will see. Crusaders have got 8 in a row. Some of their wins have been pretty scrappy, especially those ones over the Tars, although it was a good comeback, and the Brumbies. They've definitely got issues with yellow cards. Their discipline has not been stellar. They lead the competition in yellow cards at the moment with 9. We traditionally think of the Jaguares as the leader, but they're far behind the Crusaders in terms of yellow cards this season, so perhaps we need to rewrite that kind of stereotype. With some of their big guns out, it's going to be more difficult, but it's still a pretty great looking Crusaders team if you're fair. And yeah, they're very hard to beat at home. It's been a long time since the Crusaders have tasted defeat at home, although the Waratahs came close the other week. So yeah, I guess there's something for the Hurricanes to look to there. For the Canes, they'll take that 8 in a row and see them raise it to 10. They've got 10 games on the trot. Yeah, they're really a team to threaten the Crusaders, I think. There's not many teams that you look at and think, before the game anyway, that they're going to go to Christchurch and look for a win. But the Hurricanes are definitely that one team. They do also have an extra day's rest. So their bodies will just be that bit sharper, a bit fresher. So perhaps that could be a deciding factor as well. The bookies are saying this one is at evens, at least when I checked last night. So any which way, I could go either way. Hopefully it's not a refereeing decision that we're talking about at the end of this game. Like that Waratahs game, as much as it was close and tight affair and a great comeback and good effort by the Tars, it was disappointing that we were talking about a non-red card at the end of the game. So hopefully it's a good game and lives up to the hype. I guess we will see. Next game, Rebels take on the Sunwolves. 2 teams who kind of have been on opposite runs from what these 2 big guns have. So the Rebels, prior to beating the Brumbies a couple of weeks ago, had lost 5 on the trot. and the Sunwolves, until their 2 wins, had lost 9 on the trot. So both teams have just come out of a bit of a slump and are trying to look to build some form. For the Rebels, though, they're off the bye, so they will have a bit more, I guess, freshness about them. And in terms of taking the Sunwolves seriously, I think they have to now that the Sunwolves have got 2 wins. However, when we look at their squad, the Rebels might be able to breathe a little bit easier. So let's have a look. For the Rebels, Debrasini has got the chop. He's not playing at all in the 23. So Hodge starts at 10, which is interesting. He's pretty versatile. He plays pretty much everywhere, so he's getting the nod at 10 for this one. Dane Halapeti is back from his issues, so he's at 15, which is very good news for the Rebels. Meeks takes Hodge's spot at 12. Matt Phillips starts ahead of Jeff Parling in the second row. And there's 2 possible debutants in prop, Fa'amausili and Taylor Adams in the backs. So, yeah, we'll see how they go if they get on. But in terms of the Sunwolves, only 4 players who beat the Stormers last week get a start this week. That's mainly because Jamie Joseph himself is not going to be there. Him and a lot of the Japanese team are off getting ready for their upcoming matches, so unavailable. We've got Jason Emery moving to 15. Busting Wings, Lemeki and Salmaki get starts, which is good news because they've impressed when they've played this season. The halfback is Uchida. He's only played, I think, 46 minutes this whole season. It's always been Tanaka and Nagare, so we'll see how he goes. We haven't really seen enough of him to know. Quirk moves to 8. Locke Grant Hadding moves to 6. And Nunamaki is at 7. I don't think he's played at all this season. 2 new locks in Makabe and Moore. Moore's played a little bit this season. The front row, though, is more familiar with Ku, Brigvadza and Miller getting the start. So it's almost a whole new team for the Sunwolves. It's hard to say that they're building on any form, given that they've changed so much of the team. In terms of the importance of the game, the Rebels need a win pretty desperately because they need to look at closing down both the Tars in that top Aussie conference spot and the Sharks for that final playoff spot. They will definitely be looking for a bonus point here. For the Sunwolves, you never know when so many fresh faces come in. I mean, Tony Brown's kind of the standing coach for this one, so he might be able to tell these guys, you know, this is your chance to press for a regular spot for the rest of the season, if you can kind of put your hand up. So you never know. Fresh faces are sometimes driven to take that chance, but with 11 changes, you got to think it's going to be a bit disjointed and perhaps not flowing. That's the way the bookies look to be seeing it, as they have the Rebels by 21 points, which is pretty hefty. So we will see. What do you guys reckon? Can the Crusaders go on and at least secure their #1 spot in the New Zealand Conference for another week? And can the Sunwolves make it a 3 in a row with an upset over the Rebels? I guess time will tell. Yeah, let me know your thoughts, and I'll talk to you again soon. See you later.